Dr. Jayant Prasad, Director General IDSA, distinguished guests and participants, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to thank IDSA for inviting me here to speak on this very apt subject, securing cyberspace, Asian and international perspectives. First of all, I must confess that I am not a cyber expert. I am a fighter pilot and a test pilot, but over a period of time, you do use the cyberspace and learn about it, and I try to give a keynote address on that subject. Since its inception in January 99, this conference has been a forum of free and open discussion by security analysts on various subjects. And it's very heartening to see that the house is full and some people are standing at the back, and also to see so many delegates from so many countries from across the world. As you all aware, cyberspace has now become an arena for cooperation, competition, as well as conflict. The traditional basis of national power had included the economy, military capabilities, science and technology base, national resources including physical resources, human resources, infrastructure, and most importantly, knowledge resources. The arrival of information age has widely seen as a momentous development, as revolutionary as the industrial age, with information processing replacing manufacturing as the source of wealth and growth. Cyber information technologies have added a new dimension to various components of national power, especially the knowledge resources. Cyber technologies have created both new capabilities as well as new sources of vulnerabilities. They have become key components in formulating and execution of national policy. Cyber technologies are entwined across the key components of national power. They act as a force multiplier, creating new synergies, unleashing new forces, and sometimes with disruptive effects. As brought out by the director, the Prime Minister of India, while enunciating his vision of a digital India, also said where government services are easily and efficiently available on mobile devices, where government actively engages with people on social media, where mobile phones enable personal services, and where cybersecurity becomes an integral part of the national security. Towards this end, the Government of India has started a number of programs to leverage information technology for the benefit of citizens. The Digital India and Smart Cities are flagship programs with a vision to transform India into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. Another flagship program is the Make in India, which is designed to facilitate investment, foster innovation, enhance skill development, protect intellectual property rights, and to build manufacturing infrastructure for products made in India. These programs operate by leveraging the use of information technology. Therefore, it goes without saying that this accelerated capacity building has enormous implications for the country's cybersecurity posture. India, with over 400 million internet users, whose number is growing rapidly, has an enormous stake in a safe and secure cyberspace. The Indian government has always stood for an open, global and secure cyberspace. It is aware of the fact that this goal can only be achieved through international cooperation and collaboration. At the same time, threats from state and non-state actors are weakening the very foundations of this concept, especially in this area of the world. Today, cyberspace is an intricate constituent of national power, as I said earlier, having a peaceful as well as military dimension. and hence involvement of the armed forces in the domain in order to secure it, as also to develop credible deterrence capability. With militaries adopting net-centric warfare and migrating towards complex info and communication systems, they are at elevated risk of cyber attacks. Several nations have documented their cyber strategies and executed them through organizations and structures in the form of cyber commands, etc. While other nations are frequently making changes based on dynamic nature of the threat. Cyberspace is also witnessing a race for development and deployment of cyber weapons. This has become a major security concern for nations across the world. Therefore, can the globalized and digitized environment be sustained? Considering the rapid increase in threats and violations in an unregulated cyberspace. This is what we need to discuss and ponder over. Are we today witnessing a sort of cyber arms race akin to the nuclear and missile arms race of yesteryears? Can we have international regulatory mechanism binding on activities in cyberspace? What is the efficacy of such mechanism on cyber domain where physical inspection is of little relevance? Or should regulations be through treaties and conventions, or a simple code of conduct by nations, organizations, and individuals? There are also questions about whether existing laws and conventions on war, particularly laws of armed conflict and international humanitarian law, can be adopted to the new environment of cyber warfare. The basic principles that have governed definitions and responses to traditional war, such as sovereignty, jurisdiction, use of force, self-defense, proportionality, distinction, and necessity, cannot be easily adopted to cyber war. Malicious actors, state-sponsored or otherwise, are taking advantage of the confusion to carry out action that comes below the thresholds of a definition of war. The question then arises as to which is the appropriate body that would encounter or deter such attacks. One of the most difficult issues related to adopting the existing international law to cyberspace is to do with cyber weapons. There is yet no legally agreed upon definition of a cyber weapon, and the unique characteristic of cyberspace makes defining a cyber weapon that much more harder. And that raises the legitimate question as to whether cyber weapons are a reality, something which we have to live with, and hence devise ways and means to deal with them. Of course, none of these laws apply to the terrorist organizations who have adopted themselves in innovative ways to become one of the most ardent users of cyberspace for a variety of purposes, from communication to finance, as well as recruitment, networking, and psyops, as we are currently witnessing. As the visual and real worlds get increasingly integrated with the Internet of Things, it is only inevitable that terrorists will use cyberspace for destructive purposes. With cyber arena now recognized as a new and distinct domain of warfare, setting up a force competent to achieve that dual objective, the dual objectives of defending the country from cyber attacks in war and securing the military's network operations in peace, requires considerable thought. In the near term, cyberspace has added a new dimension to the traditional warfare. While traditional defense forces are not going to be replaced by cyber armies operating in a virtual battlefield in the near future, information dominance in the battlefield will make the difference between victory and defeat. On the other hand, increasing use of information and communication technology driven by the armies of today can also lead to defeat through the manipulation of information by opposing forces. Requisite capabilities for protection of Indian cyberspace, both for civil and military applications, are slowly but steadily being enhanced. Cooperation amongst the nation states and a consensus approach for regulating cyberspace need to be adopted by the global community. This will ensure that the cyber domain is used primarily to enhance quality of life of citizens and to strengthen peace, stability, and development. In this multidimensional, dynamic, and evolving medium that we call cyberspace, one finds both great challenges and great opportunities. I am sure that the thought and perspectives of the eminent speakers at this conference, including experts and thinkers in cyber technology from around the world, will go a long way in shaping the future of cyberspace and cybersecurity. Thank you. Jai Hind.